everybody, right here on 5 Plus. We get to have an in-depth conversation with Trey Reed from the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. Trey, boy, the temperatures are nice. Weather is really comfortable outside these days. It's given me the fishing itch, and weather plays a lot of important factors into prime fishing opportunities. Tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, you say you've got the fishing itch. I have it 365 days a year, but I think maybe it's a little more acute. The itch irritates me a little bit more this time of year. But like you said, Scott, the weather is an incredible influence on all wildlife, fish included. But we've been having a lot of warm days. It's that time of year. Incrementally, gradually, we're warming up. Not just the air temperature, but the water temperature, and various species are sort of triggered to spawn by their internal chemistry or whatever at different water temperatures. And so a couple of the first species are your walleye, white bass. We good walleye fishery, beaver, Table Rock Lake. You'll have them running up into the beaver tailwater. So a lot of opportunities in Northwest Arkansas there. White bass. Folks love to go out to the Twin Bridges at Goshen and fish the White River arm of Beaver Lake. I mean, it's a hot spot. There's places like that all over the state, but it's basically it's time for walleye and white bass. It is time. Upper 50 water temperature is when they really start to get active. But as we progress through the spring over the next few weeks, I mean, 62, 63, 64 degrees is kind of the magic number for largemouth bass and crappie. And so, yeah, it's just going to kind of be a steady progression of these various species. Another thing, Scott, you mentioned the weather, and I know I can't, this resonates with you, right? So, but we've had some pretty significant rainfall events lately. And when that happens and you get the runoff and the tributaries of these major lakes, that increased current can also, trigger some of those spawning runs. There's a little more water and then, to run up into. The other thing is the photo period. We're just like a few days from the equinox right now. And so that's another trigger. I mean, rainfall, temperatures, all of that's variable. It might be 80 degrees in March and it might be 40 degrees in March. But what never changes is that photo period. I mean, or at least the equinox. It's going to be roughly the same day every year within a day or two. So
Right.
that's a major trigger on some of these spawning movements of fish, especially like the white bass and walleye.
Now, you certainly mentioned some of the hotbeds there, but your agency, Game and Fish, stock a lot of local ponds, these community fishing pond sites. We talked a little bit about that before. Refresh our memory on some of those opportunities.
Yeah, we're getting to the end of the trout stocking, which we do in the wintertime when water temperatures are conducive to trout survival in these places where they wouldn't be able to survive year round. And our studies show that 99 point something percent of those trout they're caught and taken home by anglers, and that's what we want. But once that ends, we start our catfish stocking. So here in March we will begin March or maybe even early April, we'll start taking channel catfish from our hatcheries and stocking those in the family and community fishing program ponds around the state. More than 36 of those locations. You can always go to agfc.com/family fishing to see a list. We'll even tell you when we stock them. We don't tell you before because we don't want Scott Covert to sit there with his fishing pole waiting for the truck to show up. I'm joking with you, Scott.
You might be joking, but there's been a time in my life where I was watching that website really closely.
No, I mean, no, we do. We have people that like that's the reason we don't post or publish like what's coming only until, but we'll put it up like the day after, even day of sometimes, because people were sitting there waiting for the trucks to arrive. Like, come on, here we go, drop them
Well,
in. Sometimes they're a little stunted when that, from the shock of being in the truck and we've had cases, unfortunately, where people just go out there with nets and scoop them up. And so that's like, we're not trying to hide anything other than we're just trying to create an equal level playing field where everybody can enjoy that resource. But yeah, we'll be stocking those catfish in those ponds all the way through June. We take a couple of months off in July and August because water temperatures get a little bit too hot. You lose some dissolved oxygen levels are kind of low. And so we don't want fish floating up and dying. And we'll resume those stockings in September and October, then start the process again with trout in November.
now, I I took at a young gentleman in Little Rock when I was living in Little Rock and working there. Never been fishing before, but really wanted to do it, and I wanted to make sure his first experience was a good one. So that's when I was watching your website so closely, and when I saw that one of those ponds had been stocked, like I'm not telling you it's a guarantee you're gonna, but odds are pretty good, right? It's a
Yeah.
great first chance for someone to go out there and cast the line and have some good success.
No, and Scott, that is exactly why our family and community fishing program exists. I mean, it's been around over 20 years now, 25 years, and uh it's one of those things, we talk about the aspect of it of, bringing fish to the people instead of the people having to go to the fish, and certainly that's one part of it, but you can kind of have a little more control in these like small bodies of water, city park ponds, and we know the densities of fish that we're putting in there. So to your point, yeah, I mean, especially in those first few days after we stocked, I mean, it's really going to increase your chances of having success, and that's what we want. I mean, somebody that has success is more likely to a child will purchase a license and become an angler when they turn 16 years old, and hopefully carry that. What a great activity, man! It's good for our mental health. It's good for our physical health. It like helps us connect to these resources even in a small way in these like city park ponds and stuff. It's a first step for a lot of people, and that's the reason we do it.
So inflation has changed the price of a lot of things in our life. It's not touched the fishing license. I'm not going to be mad when you guys have to raise that price, but I'll tell you, it's been at 10.50 for as long as I can remember. It's tough to buy a carton of eggs for 10.50, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I say it all the time. You would be hard pressed to find a better bargain in Arkansas or more bang for your buck. I mean, I don't know the last time I went to lunch and it cost less than $10.50, I mean, and that is potentially 365 days of fishing a year. Bless you if you can get to go that much. I mean, I'm an avid angler and I don't get to go that much, but yeah, I mean, we do. I mean, we're so fortunate in Arkansas. It gets cold and it gets hot in the summer, but there's still times of the day. I mean, there's very few days when you just like, we're not going to freeze over like our northern neighbors. Even in the summertime, you can go out for a few hours early in the morning or late in the evening, and it's tolerable despite the heat. So it is such a bargain, man. It is such a bargain. And, fishing is just, I don't know, it's so important to my life, but it's just such a great thing to do, man, or just a wonderful activity, and we want to get more folks involved in that.
It's fun. It is an important part of a lot of folks' lives. Some people choose to do that via boat. Awesome, right? That's a great way to do it. Some safety concerns, and you've got some new numbers, brand new numbers that shed a little bit more concern than usual. Maybe what's going on there?
Yeah, we have an annual boating accident report, Scott, and any by law, any boating accident where there's more than $500 of property damage, or there is an injury that requires emergency medical treatment or hospitalization, it must be reported. And so we have pretty good ideas on the number of accidents. Well, Sydney Grant, who is our boating law administrator in our enforcement division, just finished compiling the 2024 report, and it's out and available to the public, of course. But we had more than 200 individuals involved in boating accidents or incidents last year, and fewer than 20% of them, Scott, were wearing life jackets. And that's just a number. Like it's got to get better. I mean, fortunately, they weren't all catastrophic or fatalities, but everybody think, well, I can swim, but if you get knocked unconscious in a collision or you hit an unseen obstruction underwater, it doesn't matter how well you can swim. That life jacket is going to save your life. It's just like the seatbelt on your car. If it's dangling on the side over there, it's not doing you any good in the event of an accident. Nobody thinks they're going to get in an accident, right? No, I mean, nobody gets in their car in the morning thinking they're going to have a wreck, or gets in their boat and thinking that's going to happen. So look, there's so many great life jacket models, the inflatables. There's even like a little fanny pack style, like a belt. That's what I wear a lot of times when we're out shooting video for game and fish. They're unobtrusive. They're not hot. They're not uncomfortable. There's really no excuse for not wearing that life jacket. And we really just want to get more folks in that mindset to put that life jacket on when you're out there on the water.
Last thing I want to talk to you about, I'm going to put you on the spot, and I don't want you to be bashful, but you just got a really cool, prestigious award. I want you to
I knew
tell
you
us
were going to do this.
I want you to tell us about it because I think you're worthy and deserving, and I want everyone to know.
Well, I appreciate that, Scott. I'm actually in Louisville, Kentucky right now at the 90th Annual North American Wildlife Conference with colleagues from all the states and federal agencies, nonprofits like Ducks Unlimited and what have you. But yeah, Ducks Unlimited decided to give me their Wetlands Conservation Award this year as a communicator. There's different categories, elected officials, state and federal employees, and man, ducks and the places they live have been very important to me for a long time. So it's an incredible honor.
Yeah, well, much deserved. Congratulations to you. Thanks for joining us here on Five Outdoors. We'll see you again here real soon. Get on back to Arkansas. You don't belong
I'm
here.
on the way home now.
Okay. All right. You guys have a good day.
Thanks.
That was a weird sign off. I'll have to edit
I'm
that
sorry.
out. No, it wasn't you. It was me. I'm like, you guys have a good day. That was
Yeah,
sweet.
no, and I thought you were trying to close out, and I'm like, oh yeah, we'll see. I'm on my way home.
Dude, thanks so much. I know your schedule's tight. I appreciate you squeezing me in.
You bet, Scott. No, man, always a pleasure. Thanks for helping us get the word out about stuff.
We are covering the swap meet today. We had a photog there this morning, and then this will run. So hopefully it gins up some support.
Cool. Good deal, man. Well,
All
you
right.
have a good one. Always a
Appreciate
pleasure.
it. See ya.
See you, man.